The 5 times the world almost ended.
Start with the oldest of the 5 and work our way towards the most recent mass extinction. Number 5, the end or division extinction.
What is the end or division extinction? Is that when like the dinosaurs what is this? Is this like when the dinosaurs all died?
444 million years ago, the world looked very different. The planet didn't have trees, plants, or animals on land.
But the sun looked like a baby? What?
And Earth looks something like this, which is clearly wrong and not where they were supposed to be. But inside the ocean, it was a different story. It was packed with species and thriving. During this time, most of the marine life lived in warm, shallow seas.
How did the continents form? Because I know that there was like something where they were all combined, but how did they go from like being all spaced out to how it is now?
Are some of the animals you could expect to see during this time period. Trilobites, brachiopod.
Those things look scary. You're telling me these things have existed since like before us? It kind of looks like some sort of fish that you would see nowadays though.
Bryozoans, crinoids, and nautilus, just to name a few. And don't bother double checking my pronunciation. I can tell you now, I easily nailed over half of that. But just when these animals began to get comfortable, everything changed. The coastlines where the majority of life existed slowly began to retreat year after year. The winters began to get longer and harsher. The ice that formed took longer to melt, but eventually, the winters got so severe that the ice stopped melting altogether. The planet went into a severe ice age that lasted anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000 years.
I didn't think that ice ages were real. I just thought it was like some fake movie or something. Cause low-key, I never really thought that the world could freeze and then unfreeze.
You see, the giant continent of Gondwana had drifted over the South Pole, and when snow fell onto the land, combined with the Earth's cooling, the snow didn't melt. Then year after year, the snow compressed into large glaciers, which would otherwise have flowed into the ocean, lowering sea levels. The very few life forms that survived the Ice Age eventually adapted to the new climate and began to thrive once again. But just when they began to get comfortable, you guessed it, everything changed. Temperatures began to rise, ice melted, sea level.
What happened to all of the animals whenever like all of this started to happen? Did they all just die? And were there humans around for this? Because I swear there were.
Rose, and the oceans became low in oxygen, leading to another mass extinction of life that was not adapted to the increasing warming climate and changing environment. In the end, around 85% of all marine species on Earth died, making this event the second largest mass.
What killed all of the animals? Like, I thought that they would be able to survive if it was cold or warm or whatever.
In our planet's history. Number 4, the late Devonian extinction. 360 million years ago, Earth had another massive extinction that changed the planet forever.
What was
During the Devonian period, Earth was going through many changes. The first true forests appeared and were quickly spreading. Plants were diversifying, and soil formation was increasing like never before.
Is this when like oxygen started to become a thing? Because I swear, don't you have to have like plants or something to make oxygen?
Thanks to deep root systems. At this time, Earth looked something like this. Sea levels had risen once again, allowing life to thrive in shallow waters. Let's take a look at some of the strange animals that inhabited the seas. Now, obviously, I could just show you the fossilized
These literally just look like regular fish that we have nowadays.
names of these animals and move on. But don't forget, I'm one of the most historically accurate artists of the 21st century. So I might as well show you what these animals really look like.
What do they look like?
Dunkleosteus.
What type of fish is that? That thing looks scary.
Large armored fish that was among the top predators. Titanichthys was one of the first filter-feeding fish. The Cladosalaki was regarded as one of the first true sharks. Eurypterid, also known as sea scorpions. I don't have a fact for that one, but I just thought they were really cool.
They all look weird.
Then, of course, there were the boring animals like brachiopods and trilobites, among many others.
All of these things, they look similar to some sort of Pokemon.
But perhaps the more interesting animals were those that were briefly exiting the ocean and waddling onto land. Animals like the Tiktaalik.
What is the Tiktaalik? That thing sounds dangerous.
Stega and Ichthyostega. But the good times couldn't last forever. As forests spread across the land, trees began to pull large amounts of CO2 out of the air, cooling the planet. The trees' deep and intricate root systems expanded, breaking down rock and soil. Rain carried those nutrients into rivers and finally into the ocean. The extra nutrients caused massive algae blooms, using up the oxygen in the water.
That water looks radioactive. There's no way that you can go to like the beach or something and swim in that.
Large dead zones where animals could no longer survive, essentially suffocating them. Around 75% of all species went extinct. Number 3, the Permian-Triassic extinction.
What happened to all of those dinosaurs, bro? They were all laying on the ground dead. Something crazy had to happen to kill all of them.
150 million years ago, Earth finally became interesting. Gone were the times of ocean bugs and silly-looking fish, and we finally got something that is actually fun to draw. The Permian period was awesome.
Now that's actually cool. Like all the fish are colorful and everything and not boring and all gray.
And the long-awaited land expansion was finally released, allowing hundreds of animals to roam across it. This is what the planet looked like during this time period. Nearly all land joined forces to create Pangaea, a supercontinent. The weather was hot, dry, and got more unbearable the further you went into the continent. The oceans were full of life and contained all the usual suspects: brachiopods, ammonoids.
Why do all of these fish look so weird, bruh?
Reefs, trilobites, cartilaginous fish, ray fin fish.
These just look dangerous. Just look at them. These fish look like some sort of fish that'll like tear you apart in one bite.
And lobe fin fish, just to name a few. Land was now completely different from the last time we saw it.
You got a piranha plant from Mario on the land? Don't tell me these things actually existed.
Covered in trees, plants, and moss, and full of large and dangerous animals. Animals like the Dimetrodon.
What is this, bro? This thing probably spits out some sort of poison.
Apex predator.
That's crazy.
Gorgonopsians, a saber-toothed apex predator. Dicynodonts.
Oh my gosh, bro. This thing looks like the definition of a chud.
That was just funny to look at. Then there were the first early therapsids, reptiles, and insects. It seemed like the circle of life was getting back on track. But just as the competition was heating up, so would the planet. Well, even more than it already was. Volcanoes in the Siberian region began to erupt, releasing large amounts of CO2, methane, and toxic gases. These eruptions continued for hundreds of thousands of years. This enormous amount of CO2 trapped heat in the atmosphere, heating the entire planet another 5 to 10 degrees.
Dang, so wait, the planet was being heated up to 9 to 18? How did these things survive?
The planet became much drier. Oxygen levels dropped in the oceans once again, and entire ecosystems collapsed, turning the planet into a hellish oven.
How do animals survive from this? Because what I don't understand is how does everything die and then everything just comes right back?
Around 90 to 96% of all marine life and around 70% of all land vertebrae went extinct, making this the largest mass extinction in our planet's history. It has even been referred to as the Great Dying.
That's a scary name, I'm not gonna lie.
Number 2, the Triassic-Jurassic extinction.
This is probably one of the most known ones because this is like the era of dinosaurs and everything. And this is like being taught everywhere because this is the reason why dinosaurs cease to exist.
Finally, we get to the time periods we all care about. After the end Permian extinction came the Triassic period, a time of recovery and new beginnings that would completely reshape the planet forever. Earth's land still consisted of the single large continent Pangaea and was surrounded by Panthalassa, a mega ocean. The planet was still very warm and the majority of the land was covered in large deserts. Out in and near the oceans is where life thrived. Large trees and plants emerged near river valleys, and dry climate plants spread across harsher, hotter lands. Many apex predators began to emerge and take over entire ecosystems.
What were they?
Animals like the Listosaurus, a small pig-sized herbivore. Then there was one of the
Now that thing's scary because those things can run fast.
earliest known dinosaurs, Coelophysis, a medium-sized carnivore that grew to enormous numbers. And just by looking at them, you could just tell they were annoying. One of the most terrifying animals to emerge was
that is like a crocodile times 5.
Postosuchus, a large crocodile-like predator with enormous jaws. During this time was when the first true mammals began to appear. In the oceans, marine life was also diversifying, and the first animals that somewhat resemble today's creatures began to emerge. Animals like the ichthyosaur, a marine reptile resembling dolphins. Just You know, way more terrifying.
That thing does not look like a dolphin, bro. What is that?
There was also Nothosaurus, which was last spotted in 1933 in Scotland. Then, of course, towards the end of the Triassic period, thousands of other marine species had emerged. The Triassic period lasted over 50 million years, but eventually the continent of Pangaea began to be torn apart. Enormous volcanic eruptions occurred that lasted up to 1 million years. And just like the mass extinction before, these eruptions heated the planet.
How do these animals, whenever like there's a mass extinction, that's what I'm always... Like I said earlier, how do these animals come back from a mass extinction and then somehow like replenish the earth? That just literally makes zero sense when it comes down to it.
Many parts of the ocean of oxygen and led to the extinction of around 75% of all species. But even in this nightmare landscape, a small group managed to survive.
What do y'all think this era smelled like? Like with all the dead carcasses and everything, it had to smell bad on Earth.
Relatively small, non-dominant creature who witnessed its larger, stronger competition slowly die off and become extinct. And in this power vacuum, the once insignificant creature rose and went on to dominate the planet for the next 135 million years.
What are they?
It was now the time of the dinosaurs. Number 1, Cretaceous Paleogene extinction.
This is the one I was talking about being the most known one because this is where all the dinosaurs did die. And this is what they teach in science class and everything about every dinosaur dying.
Soon after the end Triassic extinction, small dinosaurs like the Coelophysis, Dilophosaurus.
That thing is not a Dilophosaurus. If you look that thing up, it's a Dinosaurus. It's actually crazy how weird the dinosaur names were too when it comes down to it.
Began to take over the planet. Scientists believe these creatures survived thanks to their upright posture, efficient lungs.
So you're telling me these dinosaurs were out there before looks maxing and they were dinosaur maxing? This thing had the most perfect posture, the perfect heart and everything?
And their ability to withstand heat and droughts. During the Jurassic period, the dinosaurs had solidified themselves as the most dominant animal on the planet. With large amounts of food available, they quickly diversified. Many grew to enormous sizes.
What I'm wondering is, what if dinosaurs were still around till this day? That would be crazy. Knowing people though, they probably would kill them and like drive them to extinction, but that would be cool if they were around.
Some didn't. Scientists estimate that there could have been as many as 10,000 species of dinosaurs roaming the planet. Here are some of the most notable ones, just so you can get an idea of who the star players were.
What were they?
There were the apex predators like the Tyrannosaurus.
That thing's scary. The Tyrannosaurus, that thing's probably one of the worst dinosaurs that were around.
Spinosaurus, and Allosaurus. Then, of course, you had your giant herbivores like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, and Triceratops. You had the dinosaurs that were just there for comedic relief, like the Suchosaurus.
Oh, what is that thing, bro? It's all fluffy and hairy. That thing would be like chill, you know what I'm saying, to pet. The thing on the right, that thing's scary.
And the Pegomastax. This is also when the first birds appeared. Going into the Cretaceous period, dinosaurs had adapted and flourished in forests, plains, coastal environments, and oceans. New flowering plants also encouraged insects to heavily diversify. But as we all know, these times wouldn't last. And eventually, everything would change in the blink of an eye. One day, a day just like the millions of days before it, over what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, what looked like a small glowing star appeared in the sky. Not a single animal on the planet knew of its existence.
I heard this meteor is the thing that caused the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know how true that is, but it kind of seems true.
Any idea it was even there. A few moments later, that small glowing pin in the sky quickly grew and became brighter than any other star. And within minutes, it rivaled even the sun. Birds scattered. Dinosaurs lifted their heads and froze in place as they tracked the light that was traveling towards the Earth. The impact of the meteor is unimaginable.
How did animals in like other countries die too? I thought it was just like the dinosaurs in Mexico and stuff that died, but somehow it wiped out the whole Earth.
Described as billions of Hiroshima atomic bombs all exploding simultaneously.
Billions of Hiroshima bombs. That's crazy because that wiped out one whole city or whatever, and these are wiping out the whole world.
All nearby animals were instantly vaporized. Not even their bones would be left behind.
Dang.
Entire forests were flattened. A massive wall of water over a mile high raced across the ocean and tore through the earth as magnitude 11 earthquakes shook the land. An hour after impact, superheated debris began to rain down across the planet, incinerating anything it touched. This, combined with the radiant heat pulses, ignited forests, grasslands, and anything flammable, quickly turning the planet into a burning inferno.
Like, how did this meteor, like, hit the Earth? Where did it come from?
Few days after impact, the enormous cloud of vaporized debris, which traveled from the impact site, had covered the entire planet, turning some areas pitch black, while the rest of the planet received minimal light. The fine dust could have remained in the stratosphere for up to 10 years. In that time, photosynthesis completely stopped, with no vegetation growing. For most, life on Earth was all but impossible.
How long did this last? Like, how long was this stuff in front of the sun until, like, photosynthesis could happen again? Because this had to be, like, a really, really long time.
Around 75% of all life on Earth went extinct. In the end, it's pretty mind-boggling when you sit back and think that humans have only been on the planet for around 300,000 years. Yet, dinosaurs walked and ruled the planet for over 164 million years.
Alright YouTube, that's all for today's video. Make sure you guys subscribe down below and subscribe to my main channel and join the Discord. And VL on top, and until next time, I'm out.